Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
There's a whole bank of these kind of videos.
This is a huge file.
That Congress has not been allowed to see, that public hasn't been allowed to see.
How in the world did you smuggle this out of Russia? Enough is enough. We have a government that is actively blocking information from us. This is the kind of stuff that we repeatedly see. Last year, we were blocked by someone in House administration from being able to receive a full briefing from AARO. And I've had it. Enough is enough. I want to cue up a video that I've been given. So, Mr. Knapp, have you heard about events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah.
Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Okay, does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Nat?
I had a different reaction. I was really happy that it got out. Thanks for providing
Curiosity
that,
kills the
Congressman.
cat. All right, Mr. Borland?
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Oh, Mr. Knapp, in your testimony and in this document, you detail an event that happened in Russia where their nuclear missiles were activated, and we were close to a World War III at that time, which is startling to hear. It's also good to know that as we have investigated the JFK files as well, that we're learning that that there was a document that was sent between Russia. There was an agreement between Russia and the United States that if they were to see some unidentified objects over sensitive sites, that they would report it to each other. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, I'm also familiar with the rhetoric, public rhetoric between President Reagan and Gorbachev at the time, too, that they traded statements about wouldn't it be something if we were threatened by something from way outside, how we might work together. I know for sure that they had conversations about it, and I know we did reach an agreement to try to lessen the possibility that us detecting a UFO or group of UFOs would not be mistaken for a bunch of Russian missiles. There were exchanges of that sort that went back and forth.
Yeah, and I can imagine this is, to me, the validity of this document is underscored by the fact that Russia would not want this to be known. They absolutely would not want to know, the public to know, or the United States to know that there was a vulnerability in their missile systems. Would you agree?
Absolutely, and and we had many similar incidents at our nuclear weapons facilities here that have all been sort of swept under the rug. But it's pretty scary when you take down 10 missile silos during tense times, and you don't have a better explanation for it than it was a special test of
control here again. The reference in that conversation to the third unidentified object, of course, the third object was Bogey. There were several references to the Bogey. This is the unidentified object, in addition to particles which appear to be headed in a polar orbit, you heard Frank Borman say, plus Jim Lovell discussing the booster. It was Borman who reported sighting the Bogey.
You expressed interest at one time in unidentified flying objects, the feeling that there might be something to all these stories. Do you still feel that way?
Well, I feel that there have been a large number of fairly well qualified, or exceptionally well qualified, I should say, people who have seen objects that have not had any really logical explanation other than this. I think that maybe in fact each and every one of them does have an explanation. But I think that there are so many possibilities, so many thousands of possibilities of other planets out somewhere in the universe that would have a livable atmosphere that I would hate to rule out the possibility that maybe there are people or some type of human life on some of these. And if this is the case, then it's not too unfeasible to think that perhaps some of these objects might have been something of this type.
We had light flashes just about continuously during the whole flight when you were dark adapted. And I may have even had one which I thought was a flash on the lunar surface during the first rev. That one period of time when we had the blindfolds on for the AlphaMet experiment, there just were no visible flashes. Although that night, before I went to sleep, I noticed I was seeing the light flashes again. So it just seemed to be that one interval either side of that interval on either side of it where the light flash phenomena was not visible to myself or to the other two crewmen.
Roger. There's troubleshooting things like this. Did you box moving target?
No, I took an auto track.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow, look at that fly. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
My gosh.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous. The majority of unidentified objects reported to AARO demonstrate mundane characteristics of balloons, unmanned aerial systems, clutter, natural phenomena, or other readily explainable sources. While a large number of cases in our holdings remain technically unresolved, this is primarily due to a lack of data associated with those cases. Without sufficient data, we are unable to reach defendable conclusions. I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership. What we have done is reduce the most typically reported UAP characteristics to these fields, mostly round, mostly 1 to 4 meters, white, silver, translucent, metallic, 10,000 to 30,000 feet, with apparent velocities from stationary to Mach 2. No thermal exhausts usually detected. We get intermittent radar returns, we get intermittent radio returns, and we get intermittent thermal signatures. That's what we're looking for and trying to understand what that is. Next slide. So I'm going to walk you through 2 cases that we've declassified recently. This first one is an MQ-9 in the Middle East, observing that blow up, which is an apparent spherical object via EO sensors. Those are not IR. If you want to go ahead and click that and play it. You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video.
The incursions began on October 14th, 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. This event, now known as the Vandenberg Red Square, was referenced by Representative Luna at the first hearing on this topic. Official Air Force records of this event are in possession by AARO and the FBI. Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed.
What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our system. A self-luminous Tic Tac shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up with 3 other similar objects. The 4 then disappeared simultaneously with a high synchronized, near instantaneous acceleration. I observed no sonic boom and no conventional propulsion signatures. No exhaust plume, no control surface articulation on the Sapphire image system. Shortly after the synchronized departure, radar tracks dropped. These observations were multi-sensor and recorded inside of ICC-1 with time location overlay visible in our source frames.
They're seeing flashes on a spacecraft at night with their eyes closed. Or no, they don't know what their eyes closed. They noticed them when they were awake at night. The spacecraft was dark, and they thought they were in the spacecraft. But whoever this guy was said, no, that's a perfectly known phenomenon. You can get discharge across your eye from gamma rays or something. So they had a bunch of things. Would we close our eyes and face the moon, when we were orbiting it, because it would be more, you don't have to be anywhere near the moon or anywhere. The first night out, bing, bing. And if you keep your eyes closed and you're awake down there and it's dark and you think about it, when it happens, you can figure out, you can pin down that it's one eye. It's not a discharge that you see in both eyes. You really see it with one eye or the other eye, and you can see what kind it is. We had 2 kinds. I guess the particle either strikes the eyeball perpendicular or it discharges parallel. And we get either a flash like that or we get a streak.
So the encounter itself, from the time I recognized on my radar to the time after the video ends, was probably about 5 to 7 minutes.
What speed was the object moving at?
When I first witnessed off the port bridge wing the object moving out of the water, what I thought was originally just a light on the water, something on the horizon, and surfacing and going into the air, I then knew it was an air contact. But as an air controller myself, I started thinking and going through kind of like my checklist in my mind. Could it be a helo? But it's not blinking lights. So I then realized this is something I've never seen before. So the speed itself, just going from the horizon to about maybe 3,000–4,000 feet in the air, was very slow, slowly rising. And then it sped up. I'm not an expert at knowing specific speeds of aircraft just by visual eye, but I would say probably 1–2 Mach instantly into the rest of the formation. I didn't notice visually with my own eyes the other three objects until I went back to my radar and also utilized Sapphire to see that, in fact, there were 4 total. And then again, when they all left after a certain amount of time, it was nearly instantaneous.
So you spotted it visually first, Chief, and then went back to your radar, or did you guys spot it on radar first?
Radar first, because that was my watch station.
And then you went out to the port bridge wing, is that correct?
Correct, to verify what I saw on my radar.
What range was it at, Chief, when you were able to see it visibly?
I would say about 7 nautical miles, 7 to 8 nautical miles of a light from the ship.
Very bright particles or fragments or something that go drifting by as we maneuver.
Roger, understand.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of big ones on my window down there. Just bright. Looks like the 4th of July out Ron's window. Yeah, now you can see some of them in shape. They're very jagged, angular fragments that are tumbling.
Roger, they look like fluid of some sort?
Not to me. They look like pieces of something.
Roger.
They're very bright.
Jack, we'd like Omni Charlie.
The more of the white particles in view below the capsule, they appear to be traveling exactly my speed. There is one drifting off. It's going faster than I am, as a matter of fact. I haven't seen the great numbers of these particles, but I've seen a few of them. Their motion is random. They look exactly like snowflakes to me.
It is one of the white objects. So I have 2 stars that are standing quite still. The white object actually looked like it came toward me, but it wasn't. You can actually see the particle there going off, as John described it, as a lathe shaving. It's a very good burst of light in the window, and I really don't know what it is. At this point, I should be coming up on a sunset.
And now at 1 hour at this time, I now have 1 hour and 21 minutes, and I am observing John's Fireflies drifting away from me. I can observe them appear to be departing from the spacecraft and drifting out to the rear. I can see some of them.
We began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash-retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower.
The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space. We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All 4 of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a small, saw a white Tic Tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the Tic Tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the Tic Tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the Tic Tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the Tic Tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar, and I can get into modes later if you're interested. What is shocking to us is that the incident was never investigated. None of my crew were ever questioned. Tapes were never taken.
Considerable distance out to the rear. It's coming up behind me. I'm beginning to get the glow on the clouds. Fireflies appear to be white, very whitish, with almost a green like real fireflies. These small luminescent particles drift away from you, slowly and forward. In this light, they appear brilliant white.
Roger, you haven't seen the beacon at this time?
Negative, I still haven't seen the beacon.
Sure.
There was considerable noise, though, as if something were departing. Considerable noise of the little doors, sounded like the little doors blowing open, so I assume the beacon has departed.
Roger, understood.
Each time I fire a pitch-down thruster, I get a shower of these little fireflies. It is flashing now. It is the light. It's quite bright, quite discernible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right. Must be about 10 to 12 miles away. I'm keeping it directly in the window.
I'd like to turn to one observation reported from orbit that has interested us a great deal, and that was the flash that was reported. I haven't seen, I understand the transcript hasn't yet been typed.
I haven't seen it yet, so that's my only hope for pinning down the time.
If you
get it to about 5 minutes with that, I think.
If you can help us pin down the time and roughly the location, and we'll certainly look at our records, and that would be an important piece of data if we recorded that. I would like to ask, was this a colored flash or a white flash?
It was white.
How does it differ from the kind of thing you get with a cosmic ray impact on your brain?
I didn't see any of those.
He didn't see any of those.
Well, we're very much excited by that. As far as I know, it's the first report of a transient event of some nature that's been seen from orbit.
I just have to wait for I should have written it down, and it just didn't occur to me to write it down.
Did we get a time on it at all, Ken? Or
It's on the DSC.
it's on the DSC.
And if I ever get that, I'll...
Well, then we would correlate any information we get from the seismic interfaces.
Yeah, how about its persistence? Did it just...
No, it was just a flash, and the way I happened to notice it, I was looking at a horizon that was showing up from solar corona or zodiacal light, whatever you want to call it, in that region. It was very shortly after we lost the signal from Earth.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe in if we could get in a confidential area of SCIF, we could talk about that.
Gentlemen, let's talk about the laws of physics for a second. Mr. Graves and Commander Fravor, I heard you talk about speed. When those objects broke the sound barrier, did they make a sonic boom?
I was in a jet. You can't hear anything. It's kind of loud in there.
Yeah, you're not able to actually personally tell within the vehicle. I will say the objects that we were seeing, they were spherical, and they were observed up to Mach 2, which is a very non-aerodynamic shape.
What about G-forces? Let's talk about G-forces of those vehicles. Could a human survive those G-forces with known technology today?
No.
No, not for the acceleration rates that we observed.
Okay. What about what they look like? How close did you get? Did you see a seam or a rivet or a section? And what I mean is, obviously, the jets you're flying have all those things. Did these objects have those?
Do you want to go, Ryan?
I didn't have the detail to be able to tell that.
So we got within a half mile of Tic Tac, which people say that's pretty far, but in airplanes, that's actually relatively close. No, it was perfectly white, smooth, no windows, although when we did take the original FLIR video that is out there, when you put it on a big screen, it actually had two little objects that came out of the bottom of it. But other than that, no windows, no seams, no nothing.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
And I was watching stars pop up over the horizon, and got this flash, which was in size was about, I wasn't looking directly at it at the time it happened down in the side of my vision, but it was brighter than the brightest star that I had in the field of view at the time, and I had the feeling that it was in physical or angular size, it was equivalent to the size of the larger stars in my perceived vision. But it was just an instantaneous flash, and it took a couple of seconds for it to soak into me that it wasn't just a star popping up over the horizon, but rather it had been distinctly below the horizon.
There's no gravity on the backside, okay, but on the front side,
Understand.
It correlates pretty well with the laser data, which shows a great big hole here in the backside of the moon around Vandenberg, and that's where we get our big hole, but I can't see any scientific justification for connecting the two results.
I will add, let's remind you, the gamma ray
Yes, that's true.
secondary peak is also at Vandenberg. I don't know what it means.
Could be an alien star base or something, I don't know.
At one time you said you saw a semicolon-shaped thing. A semicolon-shaped object. This was in the first report. Before the
I never did. If I reported it, that's what I saw, but I don't remember it.
Did you see anything that looked like this?
All I can say is whatever was reported is what I saw, but I don't remember it.
We discussed the various shapes prior to flight, and I concentrated pretty hard on trying to see the shapes, and I think as I reported, it was either a streak and just a rather simple streak, or it was a flash and rather a simple flash, nothing too exotic about it, and on a more rare one would be maybe just a pinpoint of light for an instant, rather than get the idea of a flash. So it would just be a pinpoint for a second and it would be gone. But that was more rare than the other two.
By a flash, you mean a distributed? So
Yeah, I meant like watching an explosion. Just a ball versus just a.
I have one more about the cloud that you saw. This is a new phenomenon which we hadn't expected. Can you describe this lightning behind the cloud?
I think it occurred, I reported it a couple of times, and it appeared, as I recall, to be down low on one eye or the other, and it was just a diffuse lighting.
Any color?
White, silver.
If you were out in the country and looking at the horizon and there was lightning behind the cloud, was it like that?
Except generally if you do that, you can see a streak behind the cloud. There was no streak, it was just a diffuse lighting.
The first question we got is the streaks that you saw. Were they very sharp phenomenon, or were they rather diffuse, like fuzzy?
Ones I saw were very sharp. There was no mistaking what it was. It was a streak so long, instantaneously, and disappeared.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Both the single streak and the double shot.
They were quite clear, and I think I made the comment over the loop that most of my streaks appeared to be on the periphery.
Was there some character to these flashes that had some aspect of direction? I mean, were they all the same rod-shaped, or did they have a tail on them?
Well, what I reported as a streak was simply that. Now, maybe the way we determined the direction subconsciously was that it was a ball of light moving in a direction, leaving a tail. But I can't say that for sure. All I reported was a streak, and I had the impression of it moving from one direction to the other. And I reported that direction.
And when you're on a test mission, you're supposed to have clear airspace. Not supposed to be anything that shows up. And they saw a sequence of 4 craft in a clear diamond formation for which there is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb. Again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down, he said that his FLIR system malfunctioned, and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection as you would typically see in a test mission. So I guess I'll start with Commander Fravor. How should we think about the fact that this craft that was approached by our pilot had the capability of disarming a number of the sensor and collection systems on that craft?
Well, I think this goes to that national security side, and you can go back through history of things showing up at certain areas and disabling our capabilities, which is disheartening. And for us, I mean, like I said, it completely disabled the radar on the aircraft when it tried to do it, and the only way we could see it is passively, which is how he got that image.
Okay, I want to say something about visual sightings during a rendezvous. I was able to, from the LEM, I was able to see the command module when it was sunlit at somewhere around 100 miles and definitely define that was a command module. After the command module went into darkness, I could not pick up his tracking light until we were well within about 40 miles. I think this transcript have got more an accurate time, but could not pick up the docking light, the rendezvous light, rather from the command module until we were well within 40 miles, and then just a initially very dim, faint flash. I was able to verify on board that the LEM tracking light was working, and I finally figured out how. It was reflecting off the underside of the EVA handrail on the left forward side of the LEM. So I could see the LEM tracking light flashing. And also, when there were some particles we took with us that stayed with the spacecraft, and you could see the sequential flash off of those particles.
The light flash phenomena, three of us were blindfolded for an hour and never saw a light flash.
That was the second round.
The second round, on the way back, and transverse. Eating, resting, exercise, and comfort.
Let me add to the light flashes, LP, that that evening, I guess it was, I did see them again, falling asleep. So
I did too.
So there was just that period, apparently, during the actual experiment that for some reason they weren't visible.
Did this object come up on radar or interfere with your radar or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked it, the Nimitz tracked it, the E2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire control radars never picked it up. The other airplane that took the video did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out, and Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
I might have asked this before, but I want to make sure. Do you have any personal knowledge of someone who's possibly been injured working on legacy UAP reverse engineering?
Yes.
Okay. How were they injured? Is it something like a radioactive type situation or something we didn't understand? I've heard people talk about Havana syndrome type incidences. What was your recollection of that?
I can't get into specifics, but you can imagine assessing an unknown unknown. There's a lot of potentialities you can't fully prepare for.
Are you aware of any individuals that are participating in reverse engineering programs for non-terrestrial craft?
Personally, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you know any that would be willing to testify if there were protections for them?
Certainly closed door and assurances that breaking their NDA, they're not going to get administratively punished for so.